tired of hiding here, Talion.
Are you working for that traitorous captain? Is he working for you?
Great year for the Xbox One and some fantastic games. Those are our 5 nominees for Best Xbox One Video Game of the Year 2014. Let's first of all start with Shadow of Mordor. We can talk a lot about the Nemesis system, it comes up a lot, but outside of that sort of wonderfully unique mechanic, Mordor is a solid game, and it builds on like it builds on the foundations of a bunch of other great games too.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's hard to escape the shadow of Assassin's Creed when you play Shadow of Mordor. But what's really interesting to me about that, I made a joke. What's really interesting about that to me, it's the best Assassin's Creed game that came out in 2014.
Yes.
And but I gotta say, it does it not. It builds on it in just interesting ways. And one of my favorites is that it makes the game a challenge, particularly early on. You can't just fight your way out of 20,000 orcs descending upon you. That one touch alone makes all the difference, because what it does is it infuses meaning into every mechanic that you don't have to think about in similar games.
Yeah.
Suddenly, it's not just about having lots of choices, it's about having lots of meaningful choices. And that one look at making it a challenge makes all the difference in the world. Make it a challenge, and suddenly all the mechanics have new meaning they never had before.
I felt like I was like a horse in Red Dead Redemption when I played that game, and it was like took me a long time of like just I can kill everyone, die, and then it broke me, and then I was like, oh, okay.
Another game you really enjoyed this year as well was Dragon Age Inquisition.
Oh yeah. Speaking of horses, exploration in that game is just so interesting. I mean, it's not your Skyrim sprawling open world, go wherever you want all the time, but like you have these areas like the hinterlands we're seeing here that are just so rich with things to do and with sights to see, and they're big enough that you have that moment that this is the bar that I measure any sort of open world exploration by. It's like, I see a cool thing way off in the distance. Can I go to that cool thing and find cool things there and find cool things on the way? Yes? Yeah. All right, this is awesome. I am way in on it.
Interesting year for the Xbox One. What we're seeing on our nominees here is that not a lot of exclusives being mentioned here. You could call it a platform exclusive, or at least a Microsoft exclusive, but for sure Titanfall was one of the best games that came out on the Xbox One.
Yeah, and it was really one of those standouts that had some exclusivity to it. And it
wasn't available on PlayStation. Put it that
pretty much that, or Wii U, right? But no, I mean this is a game that tried something new in the campaign way, because it was like, listen, we are setting out to make a multiplayer shooter. We're going to throw in a campaign experience. And I don't think the campaign experience was super good, but then again, it was just a bunch of multiplayer matches. The multiplayer action in the game is great. So it's just, playing this game multiplayer is unlike playing any other game multiplayer. I mean, the speed you can compare to Call of Duty, the mobility you could compare to Brink. Kind of.
How flattering. How deeply flattering.
So, like, the idea behind it, but the execution here and the sheer options of what you can do with that mobility, with your sort of combat positioning, just makes it this evergreen experience.
And what I loved about it was it reminded me of the early Xbox 360 games, where every now and again you got that one game, like sort of Gears of War, where everyone got it. And the week that came out, everyone who had an Xbox One was playing Titanfall, and everyone in the office was clambering. Those who hadn't gotten an Xbox One were clambering to the stores to get it. And I think that's the one thing that I'm looking forward to next year as much as possible. And there hasn't been too many games this year on Xbox One that have actually done that. Titanfall was absolutely one of them. Another game which is not a exclusive on the Xbox One that is mentioned in our top 5 games of the year is once again Metal Gear Solid Ground Zeroes. Have any of you folks played it? I feel like I've been talking about Ground Zeroes all day today.
But you're so eloquent.
I know, you just nail it.
I love it. Again, I thought it was maybe, it's going to be like a prologue version to Metal Gear Solid 5, but it turns out it's not just like a demo, or it's not just a truncated version, or it's not a game that you can play in an hour and complete it and be done with it. You can if you want to, but to do that would be like playing the first chapter of any game and then stopping playing. For me, Ground Zeroes was a really enjoyable experience. It's one that I piled hours upon hours, probably 24 hours into in total. It looks fantastic. It showed off the new next-gen hardware really well. And apart from it being just a wonderful taste of what's to come with Metal Gear Solid 5, I think it's a wonderful standout game. And it's a game that I would actually recommend to people who don't necessarily play Metal Gear Solid games, which you couldn't say for a lot of other sort of deep franchise titles.
And you're the one talking about it a lot on this set here, Danny, but during our discussions, I mean, we had over a dozen people down there at any given time, and a lot of them were also sharing their stories about this mission or that mission, or about how this challenge or that challenge sort of just like invigorated them and made them think this game was just such a great sandbox and such an excellent experience.
It's worth mentioning that there are 4 of us sitting here in this room talking about these games, but when we were downstairs there was something close to 20 odd, I think.
Yeah.
So a lot of thought and time went into these nominee lists. And our final one for Xbox One is a game we've heard a bunch about today, and a wonderful game on a bunch of platforms, but it definitely also stood out on the Xbox One. Far Cry 4. Pagan Min!
Amazing. There's just so much.
Ajay Gande.
AJ Gale.
AJ Gale.
AJ Gande.
They say it both ways, don't they?
Do they?
Yeah, because he says his American way, and then they come in with his regional way. It's pretty good. Yeah, a fun game, absolutely loads to do. What do you think it was about this game that sort of made it so entertaining, considering it's using a formula that we've seen Ubisoft use a lot this year, and worth mentioning, there's no sign so far of either Watch Dogs or AC Unity on this list.
You can set a tiger on fire and then send it into battle.
You can get on an elephant and ride it into battle, and control it like a Jeep.
Yeah.
Like a Jeep.
Yep.
Also, the map editor is actually really robust and a lot of fun. I know we played on this show with Mary a couple weeks back where we had the bear explosion and stuff like that. And people get so creative with it. It's pretty solid.
Yeah, and a great shooter to boot as well. I think for me, the guns in it, the AI is not necessarily the most complex thing, but it really plays into the sort of fun, open nature of that game. It's a game that a lot of us are still playing and still trying to complete at the moment and still enjoying.
Also, wingsuit.
And it just straight up gives you a wingsuit right from the off.
Please give me more wingsuits in video games. Thank you very much.
Wingsuit is the game of the year.
Sincerely, Chris Waters.
Those are our 5 nominees for Best Xbox One Video Game of the Year, and we will be revealing the winner of that, as well as the winner of the Xbox 360 on December 16th, right here on GameSpot.